Hi, Dr. Raj here, and I am super pumped on this because I could go super medical dorky today. So what is going to be the topic? It's sleep aids. So let me just say this. When do I think about using them? When it's someone with chronic insomnia. And before we talk about all this pharmacology, let me just say, what is the best non-pharmacological thing to do for your chronic insomnia? You guessed it. CBT. No, not CBD, that's something else. So this is cognitive behavioral therapy. Cognition is always going to be your thoughts, behaviors are your actions, and of course, anytime I want to prescribe any type of medication, it's with cognitive behavioral therapy. And what are my two favorite things from cognitive behavioral therapy? The bed is only meant for sleeping, and you want to have a set bedtime and set wake time. But let's go back for what this video is all about. What are going to be those medications? And yes, I like to put them in categories. So what is always going to be my first category when we talk about aids for sleep? Dietary supplements. What do I mean by that? How about a little magnesium, some tryptophan, some tart cherry juice, some lettuce water. Everyone loves a little what? Melatonin. Maybe you want to blow up your liver with kava kava. Don't take that. But when we talk about, which ones to use, it always comes down to the same questions. What dose, what form, what route, what evidence, so the evidence isn't going to be strong. But don't get me wrong, everyone loves a sleepy girl mocktail. Yes, I did do a shout out to a TikTok, oh my God. But what is the one people always ask me about is melatonin. It probably has most of the data behind it, but let me just say this. Melatonin is not a potent sleeping aid. What does it do? It helps you shift your circadian rhythm a little bit. It's never about the dose of the melatonin. It's always about what? It's about the timing. So of all the things you get over the counter, melatonin is kind of the one that scares me because it looks like Sour Patch gummy bears and people just keep on putting them in their cart when they go to the checkout line. So please be careful. So first category is always going to be dietary supplements. What's the second category is over-the-counter sleep aids. They are FDA approved, but for over-the-counter. And what are the ones that jump to mind? Things that block histamine, such as diphenhydramine, you guys call that Benadryl, or doxylamine, you guys call that Unisom. So what is the downside of this? Well, there is data that shows that if you take a lot of these antihistamines, it also has what we call in the medical field anticholinergic properties, and that's associated with things like dementia, and you don't want that. So be careful when you take antihistamines chronically at high doses over the counter. Of course, Dr. Raj is never one to scare anyone. It's not going to be the one who takes a little antihistamine here and there. So what's the third category? Are going to be medications that people take, but they're not FDA approved for sleep. Prescription medications not FDA approved for sleep. And what jumps to mind? Has anyone heard of trazodone? Probably one of the most common medications that people take for anxiety and depression, but it makes you sleepy. There are also medications that people use, such as Seroquel. We call that quintonapine. It makes you sleepy. And when I'm in the medical ICU, when someone gets a little rowdy with me, my fellows always want to give a little Seroquel. In fact, we always say you shouldn't leave the ICU without a little Seroquel. That's a bad joke. But when we talk about the last category, we're going to talk about medications that are FDA approved for insomnia. And when I think about those, I have those in 5 main categories. The first category is called benzodiazepines. What are those? Well, generic names are alprazolam, lorazepam, diazepam, otherwise known as Valium, Ativan, Xanax. These medications have lots of side effects. They make you sleepy, plus other things. You can't just cold turkey these medications. So you have to be careful. The next category are what we call non-benzodiazepine receptor agonists. And that sounds too medical dorky, but they're kind of like wannabe benzodiazepines, but they only work on one receptor called the alpha receptor. And when I tell you these brand names, you guys will be like, oh, Ambien, Lunesta, Sonata, all these medications. And how do I know which one to pick? Well, it depends if they have problems initiating sleep or maintaining sleep. They have different half-lives. The third category are going to be medications that activate the melatonin receptor. And they're not commonly used. Classic name is called Rosarum. That's a brand name right there. The fourth category are going to be and one specific antidepressant called doxepin. And doxepin at higher doses is used for depression itself, but at very low doses, what does it do? It helps you sleep. It helps out with chronic insomnia. Then the last category is the hottest topic ever. This is the category we call DORAs, D-O-R-A, dual orexin receptor antagonist. That means it blocks orexin. And you're gonna ask me, what is orexin? It's a stimulating neurotransmitter. And what does this category of drug do? It inhibits that stimulation. And I'm gonna throw out a couple brand names there. There's a Belsomra, there's a Dayvigo, but probably the newest one that has the nicest safety profile and makes you feel better during the day is called QVIVIQ. So in my opinion, there are so many choices. Don't forget, non-pharmacological things first is always going to be important. And I know we went through a big whirlwind of all these categories, but I hope that this is helpful in making you make a shared decision with your sleep specialist.